since a linked list is also a list, so if we want to find the length of a linked list using recursion, we can actually make use of the same recursive approach which we used while finding the length of a string. So uh, notice that if we want to find the length of the whole string starting from the first node, which is A, to the last node, which has an element E. Actually, I'm writing A, B, C, D, E here, but they actually they're not actually the element of linked list. I'm just saying this is node A, this is node B, this is node C. Uh, but uh, but we will actually point to this linked list by this list variable. So if we actually want to find the length of this list starting from this node, which is called list, so the length of list is actually 1 plus 1, because the node which is pointed by list is actually one node, so this contributes 1 to the length. So this is actually 1 plus length of the rest of the list. So the rest of the list is being accessed by list.next. So this is actually the recurrence relation which will give us the length of a linked list. So if we try to write this as a recursive function, this will look like almost the same as a string, because we're basically doing the same thing twice. So if we just copy this recursion and write it here in the return class. So the length of a list is actually 1 plus length of the rest of the string, or notice that from here from list we're going to list.next. So every time the list is shrinking by one size, because we're going to the next node. So at this rate we will arrive at a node which is actually null, because from A we will jump to B, then to C, then to D, and then eventually from E to null. Null is actually not a node, so when this list becomes null, the length of null actually is 0, so we'll return 0. So this way we will get the length of a linked list. So if we actually simulate this for this specific linked list, it'll look like so. Since A is not an empty list, so A is not null, so it will return 1 plus length of B. So B is actually A dot the node which is pointed by A dot next, right? So I'm just writing here A because this is just for you to understand, but this node is actually the first node is not actually being pointed by A, it is pointed by list. So just so you can understand, I'm just writing A here. So this will call 1 plus len B. So B is not also an empty node. So since B is not null, this will call 1 plus C. So 1 plus len C. So since C is not also null, it will also call 1 plus D. So uh, like this, and someday, actually not someday, we'll immediately get to length E, then length null. So since we have arrived at null, null is not a node, so it contributes 0 to the length and it will return. So this function will return 0 and we will get the length, which is 5. So if I told you that I want the sum of the linked list, so what will I do? Let's say we have this linked list 1, 2, 0, which is pointed by list. So if we want the sum of this linked list, we will write a function which is called sum, and its return type will be integer because it returns a sum. So sum, we will provide a node type node list. So this variable will be passed to this function. So if if we arrive at a node which is null, that null node doesn't contain any value, so we'll return 0. Otherwise, else we will return uh, the value of that node which is list dot element plus some list dot next. So this will return, so the sum from list to the end of the list is list dot element plus sum of the rest of the list. So if we actually simulate this here, um, um, so if we call this function with some list, so this will come to the else return clause. So list dot element is actually 1, so it will return 1 plus some list dot next, which is this node, list dot next. So this call to will come to this return clause, so this will return 1 plus, actually not 1, the this node's element is actually 2, so this will return 2 plus some list dot next dot next. So list, this is actually list, and this is list dot next, and this is list dot next dot next. So this has element 0, so it will return 1 plus 2 plus 0 plus list dot next dot next dot next, which is actually null, some null. So some null will actually go to this if case and will return 0. So it will return 1 plus 2 plus 0 plus 0. So if we sum this up, this gets us 3. So the sum of this linked list is actually 3. So we are done.